Hello, I'm Dr. Archer Crosley, and welcome to Real World Pediatrics. So, today, let's talk about RFK Jr., aka Robert Francis Kennedy Jr. We'll talk about vaccines. I know this is a controversial subject, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Now, currently, as you probably already know, Kennedy is taking a lot of heat from Congress over his stance on vaccines. I can't say I blame Congress because RFK is wrong on so many aspects about vaccines. You can check out my prior videos, in which I try to dismantle much of what he has written in his book, Vax Unvax, Let the Science Speak. What I want to talk about here is why Robert Kennedy believes what he believes. I want to talk about what I think is driving his psychology and his mindset. Of course, I don't know Robert Kennedy. We've never met. But we do share similarities. We were both born in the year 1954. He was born on January 17th, and I was born on November 15th. So we're about the same age. He's a little older. Of course, his family is famous, and mine is not. Nevertheless, both our fathers died in 1968. His father died in June, and my father died in August. He was 14 when his father died, and I was 3 months short of 14. Consequently, both of us suffered a very traumatic event at a very critical age. And I can tell you from personal experience that the death of a parent is a transformative event in a child's life. It's going to change you. You become a different person. And it has adverse effects later in life. You just don't know it at the time. Both RFK and I started college at the same time. And it was during college and possibly before that he got heavily into drugs. Now, even if he hadn't admitted that, and even if his name hadn't been in the news for doing such, I would have known. As a matter of fact, I did know. And I knew it because I had a classmate at my college who had a friend at Harvard who knew Bobby Kennedy. And I was told back in 1972 that Bobby Kennedy was doing every drug underneath the sun. Now, there's no question in my mind at all that the death of his father put him solidly down that path. He was suffering. Turning to drugs was a way that he chose to ease the pain, whether he wants to admit it or not. In addition to turning to drugs, he also became suspicious of the world. More precisely, he became suspicious of the government. When your father is shot, nobody has any good answers, and when things don't add up, you're going to get suspicious. Especially when your uncle, JFK, is murdered and the government covers that up also. Now, compounding his personal suspicion of conspirators in his father's death was a general feeling during the Vietnam era of a distrust of the government. And every American felt that to some degree. Now, RFK's suspicion only grew over the years. This isn't something that's going to go away. It becomes part of you. It literally transforms your mind. Now, when my father died, I wasn't given any good answers as to why he died. There were only vague references to him having a hardening of the arteries or a heart attack, but no autopsy was done. He just came home one day from work, and he died on the kitchen floor, right in front of me. He was 47. At the time, I remember wondering if somehow he got poisoned. I was told that he had stopped at a pharmacy on the way home. Maybe he took something that was a mistake. Or maybe one of his colleagues at work knocked him off in order to take his place. Now, of course, that idea is silly to me now, but I was a child at the time, and that's how children think. Children want answers, and the lack of answers makes a child suspicious. And this suspiciousness becomes part of who you are. You develop a general distrust and wariness of others. And, well, there's no question in my mind that this is what happened to Robert Kennedy. Now, as it just so happens, he was right about his father. There was a cover-up of the truth. Someone else in that room at the Ambassador Hotel, besides Sirhan Sirhan, took a shot at his father from behind and killed him. There's no question about that. And so this cover-up of the truth, endorsed by the government, in his mind, only cemented his belief that there are dangerous conspirators out there. Then along came COVID-19. And well, this was like injecting steroids into RFK's general suspicion about the government. Of course, RFK wasn't the only one who became suspicious, but not everyone becomes the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And so what he has done as the Secretary of HHS is to continue his war against vaccine. Now, it's one thing to understand and comprehend that your father was killed because of a conspiracy. It's another thing to begin looking for conspiracies everywhere. And he's just allowed his emotions to carry him away. He's not the first to do it, and he's not going to be the last. But he's still wrong. He's not a science guy. I want you to remember that. He's a lawyer, and lawyers are trained to think differently than scientists. Lawyers are trained and taught to make effective arguments. Skepticism, which is the hallmark trait of a scientist, is not conducive to being a good lawyer. Scientists, through their training programs, are in a way trained to be insecure, especially when it comes to the truth. So imagine a defense attorney standing up in front of a jury saying, well, I can see where the prosecution makes a really good argument, and I can see where my case has weak points. And, quite frankly, I have grave doubts about whether my client is innocent. Maybe the death penalty is the right thing for him. Now, that isn't going to fly. That attorney will have no clients. He may even get disbarred. Now, RFK has been an attorney his entire life. He can't change who he is. He's been trained to make effective arguments, not to approach a problem objectively. And he isn't being objective about vaccines. What he does in his book is cherry pick facts to fit around a preconceived idea that he has about vaccines. And he's a very passionate man. Thank you.